Hi guys, it's Crystal. I hope you guys are all doing well and that everything has gone good for you. I know I'm back in the bathroom or the bedroom, so I really hope there's not a glare from the mirror today, but as you know, the kids are home right now. I had to kind of change my filming schedule. I usually film during the week, but I wasn't feeling good for a couple days this week, so I'm here now. So, I hope that you guys were all doing well. If you're outside, I hope you're enjoying the frigid air and that everything has gone great for you this week. If you're new to this channel, like I said, my name is Crystal and I do Canadian true crime or true crime with a Canadian twist. From time to time, I also do international crimes. In the next coming weeks, we're going to have one, guys. I'm not sure if it'll be next week or the week after, depending on how long it takes us to get through today's case. This may end up being 2 parts. I'm hoping not, but I don't know for sure. So if that sounds like something you guys want to get behind, hit that old like button, hit the subscribe button, notifications, might work, might not, and leave me some comments. I always say it, guys, particularly about this case. It's an unsolved case. We haven't done as many of those. We have done some, obviously, but I always am interested in people's theories from an unsolved case, probably particularly this one, just because it's going to frustrate you, probably even more than last week's case. At least last week's case was solved, but yes, there were a lot of questions. So hopefully, if that sounds like something that you guys like, that you'll want to join in, and that'll be great. And of course, if you guys are returning subscribers, you guys already know how much I love you and how thankful I am for you guys and the comments that you leave me. I learn new things all the time and it's very interesting to me. So thank you so much, guys. And if you do have recommendations, guys, feel free to let me know. I may not get to them all in this batch, but the next time we do recommendations, I'll get them then. So like I said, this is a recommendation, guys. It's not really that old of a case. It's from the 2000s. So you guys might remember this case. When it was requested, the name rang a bell. And there was a reason. I actually had it on a list of people that I wanted to do. But this person's name in particular rang a bell. If you guys do choose to leave comments, though, please no hate. We're just here to talk to each other. We're not here to pick at each other or anything like that. We're just here to discuss theories and give me ideas, if you guys want to, for another case. So today we're going to be talking about Lindsay Buziak. I really hope I'm saying her last name right. I might mispronounce some last names in this, so I'm really sorry, guys. It's not because I'm not trying. It's just because I'm uncertain. So it's Buziak, Lindsay Buziak. She was actually born Lindsay Elizabeth Buziak on November 2nd of 1983. Her parents are Jeff and Evelyn Buziak, and she also has a sister named Sarah. I'm not sure if she's younger or older, but I know she does have a sister. And it does appear that at some point in time, her parents divorced because her dad lives in Calgary or had lived in Calgary. And I think her mom is still in Victoria. And of course, she was born in Victoria, British Columbia. We haven't really talked about Victoria, guys. Victoria is actually the capital of British Columbia, and it is actually on Vancouver Island, not to be confused with Vancouver proper. It sits on Vancouver Island. I believe it's on the the southern tip of Vancouver Island. So it doesn't have a huge population. There's about 85,793 people that live there, but it's very congested, guys. I guess it's it's the seventh most densely populated city in Canada, which I was like, oh, 85,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but I guess for Canada it is. It's well known, guys, for the water sports, not winter sports. I should say summer sports, things like that. It's also well known for the fact that it usually remains snow-free for most of the winter. They get a lot of rain and stuff like that there, guys, but the climate is somewhat warmer, so they don't have snow. Usually, there are occasions, but they don't usually have snow. I guess it's a really well-known destination for people who want to retire too. A lot of people that retire tend to want to go to Victoria, BC. It's very quiet. There are a lot of suburbs, so it's not as hectic as some other city life. Nelly Furtado actually comes from Victoria. So does Grant Fuhr, the hockey player. I'm not sure if he still plays. And Pierre Burton. I don't know if you guys have heard of Pierre Burton before. He's done some pretty hard-hitting books. He's a Canadian author. I believe he has since passed away. I have a couple of his books actually, so I was really excited to find out he came from here. So Lindsay was described by her family as, quote, precious, beautiful, vivacious, talented, fun-loving, and successful. She was also described as being beautiful and popular. She had a, quote, zest for life and was, quote, generous and caring. She had a lot of different friends, guys. The reason we're discussing this is because this is going to come up in this case. She had a lot of different friends, a large group of friends, and they were from different pockets of life. You may not have thought this person would have been a friend of Lindsay, but they were. She had a lot of friends. She was so outgoing and generous and kind. People just really loved to be around Lindsay Buziak. And she also had a huge interest in fashion. So I just wanted to put that out there. This, again, is going to come up. So in 2006, Lindsay decided that she was going to become involved in real estate. It must have appealed to her. She's also a very ambitious, driven, hardworking young woman, guys. So this really appealed to her. She took a tutoring course, and it was there that she met a man named Jason Zalio. Z-A-I-L-O. Zalio. I hope I'm saying it right, guys. Jason Zalio is actually from a really prominent and pretty wealthy family. I don't know a lot about his dad. It does appear for sure that his parents have been divorced. His mother was dating somebody at the time of this incident. So it appears that his parents are divorced. I don't know a lot about his dad, but he has a mother named Sandra, and yeah, she's pretty involved in her son's lives from the sounds of it. He also has a brother named Ryan. Both of them are actually involved in the real estate business for sure. In fact, Sandra Zalio is really successful. Her son Ryan, like I said, is involved as well in real estate and mortgage brokering, it looks like, as is Jason himself. That's his title, or was at the time of this crime. I don't know. It seems like he's involved in both real estate and the mortgage business, guys. So it seems like the whole family is very involved in that. So before she started dating Jason in 2006, she actually had a long-term boyfriend. She started dating at the age of 18. His name was Matt. And they dated for approximately 5 years. It looks like in 2006, when she was 23, their relationship fell apart, and this is when she started to date Jason Zalio. Kind of looks like they seemed happy, guys. They seemed very happy. They did move in together. They moved in together actually to a condo. Some people describe it as a condo, some as a lakefront property. So it could have been a condo on the lake that was actually either owned by and rented to them by Sandra Zalio, or she bought it for them and they lived there. Once again, there's some confusion with some of the articles, guys. Anyway, so not only is Sandra her boyfriend's mother, but she's also her landlord, apparently. And to go one step further, Sandra actually became her boss. Sorry, guys. She just seems really incredibly involved in her son's life. It's not funny. It just seems like she is very helicopter mom-esque. So like I said, the couple appeared to be very happy, guys. They appeared to be very happy, although Lindsay did describe him, and Jason says it himself in a couple articles, as, quote, controlling and overprotective, end quote. And we're going to get into some of that in a little bit. So like I said, Sandra became Lindsay's boss, and this was at the Remax, I want to say it right, guys. Sorry, Remax Camo Sun West Shore Real Estate Company in Victoria. So this is all taking place in Victoria, BC, guys. At this point, she's very much immersed in Lindsay's life, let's just say. Now, it doesn't look like Lindsay had any problems with Sandra. She didn't really say much to other people about Sandra, so I'm not sure how she felt about this. Having her potential mother-in-law. Let's just call her a potential mother-in-law. Being also her boss and her landlord. But regardless, like I said, the couple seemed to be happy enough to other people. So through her hard work and ambition, guys, Lindsay was already gaining popularity, I guess. She was at this point in time still a junior real estate agent, but she was selling properties. She didn't have the experience as a lot of other people, but she was making sales. This was due to her ambition and her bubbly nature. People just liked her. This seemed like a really good job for Lindsay, and she seemed to be doing very well at it. She was definitely working her way up. In December of 2007, so this point in time, she'd been dating Jason for approximately a year, guys. Approximately. I'm not totally sure when the two of them ended up getting together, but it seems like they were dating for approximately a year. In December of 2007, Lindsay took a 4-day trip to Calgary. She flew by plane, and this was to visit her dad, Jeff Buziak. This stuff is unconfirmed. I've read it in articles, and I'm just going to say it's unconfirmed at this point in time. But anyway, she went to go visit her dad, and she actually spoke to Jeff about breaking up with Jason. She said that he was, quote, jealous, overpossessive, and that she felt smothered by him, end quote. She also confided that she had caught Jason selling steroids to people, dealing in steroids, and she was very uncomfortable with that. That was not a part of Lindsay's life. She wasn't a drug taker. She, as far as I know, she didn't even really drink that much. She wasn't anything like that, but Jason had gotten himself into this. She also told her dad that she didn't like some of Jason's friends. It sounds like she thought they were influencing him. And the reason we're bringing this up is because you're going to hear this guy's name. His name is Zachary Matheson, but he's known as Ziggy. We're just going to call him Ziggy. He was really good friends with Jason. They might still be. I don't really know, guys. The two of them played hockey together, but Ziggy also rented a home from Sandra Zalio. She was also his landlord, and it appears that she was friends with his mother too. So the two of them were close. Like I said, she described Jason as very controlling and possessive. So when she would show houses to people, it was very much usual for Jason to just stop by and check on things. Like, he was very involved in her life, keeping tabs on her type thing. And he would often stop by when she was doing open houses and just like watch her, I guess. And he would bring Ziggy along with him. Not all the time, but it was very uncomfortable for her. When Lindsay first met Ziggy, she said there was something off-putting about him, something unsettling about him. So she decided to do what most of us do. Okay, so this was like 2007, so people weren't Googling people so much. You know, you'd check on people's Facebooks and you'd ask around, right? And that's exactly what Lindsay did. She asked around about Ziggy, and she found out that he was not a very savory person. He had a very unsavory character. Ziggy's a known drug dealer, guys, and he doesn't just deal in weed or hash. It's not like that. He also, well, he deals with that, but he also deals in cocaine, ecstasy, and heroin. So he was very hardcore, and it seems like he may have influenced Jason to start dealing in steroids. It just seemed like it was steroids, guys. So she didn't like that. He also was arrested for beating one of his ex-girlfriends, Black and Blue, and he had a murder charge at one point in time. Now, the charges were stayed, and according to rumor, just rumor, the reason why the charges were stayed is because he had a friend take the fall for him. But regardless, he was up on murder charges at one point in time. So like I said, very unsavory character. However, he and Jason had been friends for a long time, so he may have been able to look past that. There are also rumors going around that Ziggy and Jason had business dealings themselves. From the sounds of it, this is why I say he was a mortgage broker, but it also seems like he dabbled in real estate, because from the sounds of it, Ziggy would ask Jason to show him properties that he could use for his cannabis grow ops, and that's what he did. There are also reports that say that Jason used some of his clientele as a referral to Ziggy for drugs, that he may have been sending clients Ziggy's way. I don't know for sure, guys. Once again, all unconfirmed, but it does sound like Lindsay did for sure see him dealing with steroids. So at this point in time, she's very unsure of his friends. She didn't want he and Ziggy to be so close. She was like, whatever, you guys can still play hockey. I just don't want him around me. That's exactly what it sounded like. Anyway, so she went to Calgary, and like I said, she stayed there for 4 days. Now, another reason why the Calgary trip was so interesting was because while she was there, and this is confirmed, guys, she made a phone call to a friend of her ex-boyfriend's, Matt. Okay, this man's name is Erickson Delicazar. No one knows what was talked about in the phone conversation, or even if they went through, or even if it went through, and no one knows exactly why she called Erickson Delicazar, but his name is going to come up again. Because this was done approximately 8 weeks before the incident. And Erickson Delicazar is himself an unsavory character. Shortly before the incident we're going to talk about with Lindsay, he was actually arrested in one of the, if not, it might still be, I'm not sure if it still is, but one of the biggest drug busts in Alberta's history. No one knows why they were calling. See, this is very suspicious. Why did she call him? Why Erickson? Now, it could have been that they were friends. Like, she didn't seem to really care about people's backgrounds as long as they were good people to her. I'm going to guess. Erickson was actually, quote, a major participant, end quote, in an illegal drug trafficking operation that was taking place in Alberta at that time. And in fact, like I said, when he and his associates were arrested, it was the biggest drug bust at that point in time. I'm not sure if it still is, in Alberta history. And this was in 2008. And this conversation, this phone call for sure that happened approximately 8 weeks before her murder. You know, she was murdered, guys. You got to think to yourself, what was she calling him for? Did he sense trouble? Was she asking for his help? No one can say for sure. Was she getting in contact with him because of Jason? Was maybe Jason putting pressure on her to contact him? I don't know. But she did call this guy who is a drug dealer. Lindsay went back to Victoria, and it seemed like she had come to terms with her and Jason's relationship. They celebrated Christmas together. They went skiing in Whistler. They were still living together. So maybe they were able to work whatever problems out. I'm not totally sure. But I do know that at one point in time, one of Lindsay's really good friends from high school, her name is Nikki. She's known her for quite a while. She actually witnessed an argument between the two of them where Lindsay told Jason she didn't want to be with him anymore and she wanted to break up with him. And Jason, quote, freaked out, end quote. Now, I don't know what exactly happened, but it was so uncomfortable for Nikki. She ended up leaving the apartment at this point in time. And Lindsay followed behind her to comfort her. So maybe he said some really upsetting things to her, but it sounds like she was upset for Lindsay. I'm not completely sure, guys, but this did take place, and Nikki does remember it. Around the end of January, some reports say it was the 31st, but most reports just say the end of January, guys. Lindsay got a phone call, okay? And this appears to have been on her personal cell phone, but it may have been on her BlackBerry. She got a phone call from a woman with a, quote, strong Mexican or Spanish accent, end quote. Now, Lindsay couldn't place the accent, but she never thought it was fake, guys. I just want to put that out there. The woman said, here's where it's going to get confusing again, that either she or her husband had a job transfer to Victoria. They were either being transferred or they had just gotten this job in Victoria and they needed a home. Okay. And this is where it gets really interesting. They needed $1 million home. That was their budget. They had $1 million to spend and they wanted to spend it. And they needed to have the house within 3 days. It had to be immediately. There was no time to look. They just wanted this $1 million house. They had specifics for it too. She said they wanted a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, $1 million home. And they needed the master bedroom to be really large. And they also wanted separate quarters for a housekeeper. Lindsay actually wrote all of this stuff down in her day planner. It looks like she was very good at doing that. She never wrote down a name. If she did, it was illegible, guys. But I don't even know at this point if Lindsay ever knew this person's name, this mystery couple's name. Maybe she misheard it. Maybe she was waiting to do paperwork. I'm not sure. But she only ever referred to them as $1 million. That's what she called them. That's what she told everybody they were. $1 million. That's what was in her phone, everything. Even writing down in her day planner, it was $1 million. And the entry was also circled in the day planner, and this was on February 1st. So Lindsay was very much weirded out by the call. The woman said that she and her husband urgently needed this like $1 million home. And it seemed very odd to her. Just this conversation didn't sit right with her. And she had reservations. She couldn't place the woman's accent, so she didn't directly know where she was from. She didn't really have the person's name, it doesn't seem. And it just was very unsettling for her. Lindsay asked the woman how the woman was able to get her cell phone number. Yes, Lindsay's in real estate, but she's a junior real estate broker at this point in time, a junior. She doesn't have much experience. And if you guys know the real estate business, a lot of it is word of mouth, like with a lot of other things, right? A lot of things are referrals from other customers. Lindsay hadn't had that many customers. She did, but at this point in time, she's working her way up, right? Her clientele up. She didn't have that many. So she was very interested in knowing who actually referred her. In fact, she asked the woman how the woman got her phone number, and the woman told her she was referred to Lindsay through another client. Lindsay wanted to know who this client was. Now, there's more than one reason for this. I guess, guys, in the real estate business, if you do get a word of mouth referral, it's customary to thank the person and to be gracious about it and let the person know that you're thankful for doing this for them, particularly if a sale goes through. So Lindsay wanted to be able to contact the person who made the referral to say thank you to, but also she kind of wanted to check this person out. Do you know what I mean? She called around, guys. She called people on her client list, and no one knew who this $1 million was. No one knew. So she had reservations. It was very strange to her, but this woman somehow was able to get a hold of her number. Another thing to know is that there are reports, guys, that say the woman who referred the client was on vacation at the time. It doesn't seem like these are confirmed, guys, because there was no woman that referred this client that was on vacation. So once again, no one that we know of knows this woman, this couple, anything about them. So the more Lindsay thought about the phone call in the next couple of days, it just really bothered her. She was very conflicted. That's what all reports say, is conflicted about whether she should do this or not. She called her dad and spoke to him about it, and she also spoke to Jason about it. He got home one night from hockey, and it appears to be that night, either the 31st or the 1st, and she spoke to him about it. This was around midnight, and she just told him how conflicted she was. Now, according to reports, Jason also thought this was suspect, this phone call, and they both thought it was, quote, too good to be true, end quote. The commission, though, would be very high. So allegedly, Jason urged her to take the deal, to go and show these couple, to take them on as a client, because the commission was so good. I don't know what it would be, guys, but it would be pretty high, probably in the hundreds of thousands, right? It's $1 million thing. Jason also offered, I'm just going to air quote that, to drive with Lindsay and stay outside the house and make sure everything was kosher, make sure the meeting went kosher. He offered to do this. Lindsay seems to have taken him up on it. But I do also want to point out, seems like something he usually does anyway, is that he either like follows her to places and pops in, or maybe he did this for safety reasons too, before I cast aspersions on him. Maybe he did it for safety reasons. In fact, he actually offered to show the house for Lindsay instead of her, but she was adamant in wanting to do the showing herself. According to only one source I found, allegedly, Lindsay wrote a letter to a friend saying that she was, quote, stressed out about money, end quote. This also doesn't make any sense to me, but it would lead to the argument of she and Jason wanting to take on the clients because she needed the commission money. It's very strange because she actually drove like a black BMW, guys. Those cost money. BMWs cost money. She lived with her boyfriend at a lakefront property. He seems to be making good money. I don't exactly know what the money problems were, unless Lindsay was still thinking about leaving him and would need the money to establish her own life. I'm just saying, there's, once again, I just thought this was an interesting thing to add. So at this point, to reassure her further, like I said, he said he would go to the home and stay outside and make sure everything was kosher. He actually reiterated this to her more than once. So it sounds like within a couple days, she was pretty conflicted. Jason also reminded her of a similar call that Lindsay had had. It appears to be earlier in the month, or they said the month before, so it appears to be sometime in early January, possibly the end of December. She got a call from a client who was a referral. It seems like the client was a referral, and they had a budget of $900,000. Once again, high commission, right? See, she would have just made that sale too. Interesting. I never thought about that, but she would have had money from that. Once again, regardless, high commission. And at first, both of them, Jason and Lindsay, thought the call was sus, like who has a budget that high. But it turned out to be a very legitimate call, and Lindsay made the sale. So he reminded her of that. He said he reminded her of this just to make her feel better, just to reassure her further. It sounds like he's asking her to take it, but at the same point in time, it sounds like he wants to take it. Sounds like he needs her to take it. I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't have said need. It sounds like he wants her to take it. So on February 1st, Lindsay emailed $1 Million a number of listings. So they do have each other's email address, a number of potential properties. The client and Lindsay then confirmed. They called each other about 10 times in total, and this looks to be within 2 days. But one of the calls lasted for at least 10 minutes, guys. They know this for sure. And it was during this call, it would seem that Lindsay gave them $1 Million, I should say. Lindsay gave $1 Million an address, and the address was 1702 D'Souza Place. This was a relatively new cul-de-sac development, guys, and they seem to be fairly wealthy homes. It was still under construction at that point in time. But she said, hey, there's this property, and the clients agreed to go and look at this. They were going to go and look at this property on February 2nd. Now, which is the next day. Some reports say that just the woman was going to go. Other reports say the couple together. So they were going to go and look at it. The client specifically said she wanted to look at it at sundown, which would be about 5:30 at that point in time, guys. So the sun is down, but it's still, light enough outside. Now, the reason she gave for wanting to look at the house that late is because she and her husband were flying in that day on the 2nd, and they were going to go there from there. So they agreed on the time of 5:30 to go and meet at D'Souza Place together to show the home. So at 7:15 p.m. on February 1st, Sandra Zalio showed up with a co-worker, apparently, at the condo. At Lindsay and Jeff's house. I don't know if this was unannounced or anything like that. According to Sandra, it was here that she overheard a 15-minute conversation. She said it was 15 minutes between Lindsay and $1 Million. I have no idea how she knew it was $1 Million unless Lindsay was, of course, just saying, okay, this is the time we'll meet. It sounds like it was that 10-minute call that she's actually talking about. Maybe Sandra's just really bad with time. Maybe she forgot. Maybe it seemed like 15 minutes to her. I'm not sure, but she said she overheard it. No one knows, though, why Sandra was at the house that night. So she definitely knows that Lindsay's showing D'Souza Place the next day. No one knows why Sandra was there. She's never said why she was there. Doesn't seem like anybody knows about like the coworker either, because no one else ever brought up the 10-minute, 15-minute conversation. No one else brought this up. She allegedly took a coworker with her. I don't know if anybody ever interviewed the coworker. Regardless. And also, part of me is like, was Sandra outside when she overheard this conversation? I don't know. Like, did she actually go into the house? Did people actually know she was there? Or did she just overhear this outside? I don't know why I'm thinking about that, guys. She also, Sandra also would never say what she was there for. Just give me 1 second. So it's very strange. She wouldn't say why she was there, why she was going there, what reason she had to be there. She just went there. So at some point prior to showing the home, once again, Jason said, hey, I'll show the home for you, because she was so increasingly conflicted. Like in these 2 days, Lindsay just got more and more conflicted. Jason kept saying, I will show the home for you. Lindsay said no. She was adamant that she wanted to show it. She was just not sure about the clients. So once again, Jason offered to go and wait outside just to make sure everything would be fine. This is so confusing because he's already said it so many times, but this is apparently how it went. This is his version of the story. He reiterated it several times that he would be outside or that he would be willing to show the home. Lindsay did not want that to happen. She said she could show the home, but yes, of course, Jason could wait outside if he wanted to. It seems like it's his pattern anyway. So on February 2nd, Lindsay went to the office like a normal day. And apparently she and Jason had a late lunch. She left sometime between 3 and 4 p.m. This is going to be so strange to you because you're going to be like, late lunch. Wait a second. Okay, we're going to get into it. So between 3 and 4 p.m., Lindsay went out for this late lunch with Jason. They went to a place called Sauce. And it's closed down now, but Sauce was in downtown Victoria. So we went to this place and they had a very, very quick lunch because apparently everything was paid for and Lindsay was out of there by 4:20. Lindsay wanted to go back home and get changed. Remember, I said she was deeply into fashion, so she often changed clothes, but she wanted to go home and get changed so she would be ready for the clients. Now, Lindsay and Jeff, of course, or sorry, Lindsay and Jason did not arrive at Sauce in the same car. Jason had his own car because he had stuff that he was doing. Lindsay was already at the office, so she took the black BMW. She went back to the condo to get changed, and Jason went to a meeting. I'm gonna air quote it, guys, because this is also a weird part of the story that he had at a place called SHC. Just give me one second. SHC, sorry guys, Auto Graphics Auto Shop. So he was going there, and this is about 5 minutes away from Sauce. So this is what's very confusing to me, guys. It appears that SHC, we're just going to call them SHC, guys, wanted to sell their property. And they had hired not Jason to do it, but Lindsay to do it. However, somehow Jason inserted himself in there, and there are reports that say Jason was doing the selling, which is why I'm saying he must be also involved in real estate. But a lot of other reports, most other reports said that it was actually Lindsay that was hired by SHC. And Jason was going over there to give them an offer. It sounds like an offer for their property. And he had paperwork that he had to go there, that he had to deliver to them. Maybe they were doing it together, or maybe because Lindsay had to show this place to $1 Million, Jason was just doing this. Well, he was at SHC, and he was there for a little while, guys. They actually do have film footage of him. The security cameras picked him up, so they know he was there. Well, he was at SHC. Lindsay called him to tell him that she was on her way to D'Souza Place to go and show the home. Again, Jason offered to help her. He offered to go over once again and show the home. I'm really not sure why he's doing this, unless he's actually concerned for her or he's worried about her mental health. I don't know, because this is now, what, the 4th or 5th time he's offered to do this. And Lindsay keeps saying, yeah, you can come to the property, but not show the home. But he's very insistent. So once again, he said he'd show the home, and she said, no. You can come and wait outside, but I want to be the one to show the house. She was very determined to be the person that was actually showing the house. And as such, Jason said, okay. So during this time, there was another reason why Jason was at SHC. A friend of his named Cohen Oatman, and he had dinner plans. This is why I'm like, why was he eating at 4 o'clock? Because they apparently had dinner plans for 5:30. Interesting, right? Because Jason's also supposed to be at D'Souza Place at 5:30 to watch the home. Regardless, like, they just ate. Why are you eating again? Anyway, regardless, he and Cohen Oatman had dinner plans together, and Cohen arrived at SHC around 5:30 to go and have dinner with Jason. But then Jason told him, look, we need to go and stop by and make sure this goes okay. So Cohen said, fine. They'd just go to dinner from helping to show the D'Souza Place. They would go to dinner from that. Now, during this time, as he was going over there, apparently Jason was unable to find D'Souza Place using his GPS. So he called Lindsay again. And it was during this time that he was also going to tell her he'd be a few minutes late, but he definitely needed the directions. So Lindsay gave him the directions and then said to him, quote, okay, I'll see you in a bit. I gotta go. The Mexicans are here, end quote. That's what she said, not me, guys. This is what she said. So this is, once again, approximately around 5:30. So 1702, like, D'Souza Place is actually, like I said, a cul-de-sac, guys. And it was only 4 homes at that point in time. I don't know if it's grown any bigger. It was under construction at this time as well, in early 2008. So a cul-de-sac, guys, is like, it's a dead-end street. it's a closed off area. You know, it's like a circular type area. You're not getting two main thoroughways going through it. You're getting the circular. It's a dead end, guys, basically. A dead end street. This cul-de-sac was on the, sorry guys, was on the intersections of D'Souza Place. Okay, so there's where the cul-de-sac is. It's actually called D'Souza Place. And then the main road that goes through it or that goes near it is Torquay, Tourquay, Drive. That's the main thoroughfare that's close to it. It seems like they intersect. So the side of 1702 and the backyard fence actually run parallel to Torquay Drive. It seems like it's right behind it. Mr. D'Souza himself was actually at the place, was actually at D'Souza Place, looking over construction. And he left, it would look like, at about 4:30. So approximately an hour before Lindsay showed up to show some of the places, or to show 1702. He had been on the property, but conveniently, by 5:30, he was gone. That's probably the end of his workday anyway. But there is another interesting thing to note about Mr. D'Souza. He's actually really good friends and a business acquaintance of Sandra Zalio's. He's a developer, so they know each other from that, but they're also really good friends. Another piece of information. So 2 witnesses in the cul-de-sac actually does recall the couple. They did see a couple walking up, not driving, walking up. This is why they actually took notice of them, because it was very strange to them to have these people just walk up. Allegedly, they were just flying in, but they didn't take a rental car. There was no cab that dropped them off. Doesn't look like they took the bus or anything. They were very well-dressed people that wanted $1 million home. It's very strange. But this is why these 2 witnesses took note of the people, is because they actually walked up. The witnesses saw Lindsay greet the couple, and she greeted them by the back of the BMW, guys. So this would be towards the end of the laneway. And it didn't appear like the 2 of them knew like the 3 of them knew each other, because the man did come as well. It didn't appear like the 3 of them knew each other. It looked like it was a first time meeting due to body language. They shook hands, and then they walked up to the door. At 5:29, it's recorded, so I'm guessing the lockbox must have had a way to record this. Lindsay got out the keys from the lockbox, right? Realtors use that so that the agent can actually go in and out of the house, but so that no one else can just grab the keys and go and party or whatever. She got the keys from the lockbox at 5:29. It was recorded, and then, of course, they go into the house. So at 5:38, Jason texted Lindsay to say that he was, quote, only a couple minutes away. He was running later than he thought he was. He was only a couple minutes away. Lindsay did not respond to this text. At 5:41, her BlackBerry recorded a phone call. She made a phone call to an old friend she hadn't talked to in quite some time, guys. It was a very long time. Now, a message was left, but it was very, very muffled. And it doesn't seem like even today people can crack what was said in this message. Just keep note of it. This was 5:41 that this strange message was sent. This is highly odd, because Lindsay did not make personal phone calls when she was showing homes, when she was doing business. She did not make personal phone calls. No one knows what was said, but it was recorded. You got to wonder why it ended up being this really old friend. Part of me wonders if maybe this wasn't just the first phone contact in Lindsay's phone, right? And she accidentally pocket dialed it. At 5:45, give or take, it seems around 5:45, guys, Jason and Cohen arrived at the cul-de-sac. So they're pretty late, right? It's been 15 minutes, at least 16 minutes, it seems like, since Lindsay went into the house. Probably closer to 15 minutes since Lindsay went into the house at about 5:30. So they did see Lindsay's car, they saw her BMW, and it looks like they parked like just where the laneway is, the driveway is. Sorry, I'm country. Just where the driveway is. So he parked, and he and Cohen both watched the house. According to Jason, they actually saw a man through the glass in the door. So they saw him only from behind. I'm not really sure how they knew he was a man. Maybe because of his hair, or maybe because he was taller. I don't know. Jason just said, I don't know if Cohen said it, but Jason said they did see a man through the window. The two waited approximately 10 minutes across the road. Then Jason decided to turn around and park on Torquay Drive, which was the main, right? It was like right behind D'Souza Place, it looks like. The two men waited there about 10 minutes. I don't know why he did that. Maybe to not off-put. Maybe to not seem suspicious to the people in the cul-de-sac too. Regardless, that's what they did. So they waited another 10 minutes there. So this is 20 minutes total. During this time, Jason repeatedly texted and called Lindsay and got absolutely no answer, guys. There was no answer whatsoever. So he told police that the reason why he parked on Torquay Drive was because he didn't want to look like a, quote, nosy, interfering boyfriend, end quote. So strange, because he's blatantly made it known that he several times told Lindsay that he would show the house for her, and when she declined on that, he several times, and it looks like he's told other people that he's done this too, offered to go and wait outside for her. All he had to do was say, she thought that the call was suspicious. I'm just making sure everything's okay. Cohen could have backed him up, but regardless, that's what he told police. So that at this point, after 20 minutes of waiting and not hearing anything back from Lindsay, he got super antsy, and they decided to go up to the front door of the house. So they went up, both he and Cohen went up to the front door of their house and found it locked. This is very, very unusual, guys. It's actually against the rules. If you're showing a house, you're not supposed to ever lock the door behind you. It's highly, highly unusual for somebody to do this. But they did find that the back door or the front door was locked. So they knocked and rang the bell and et cetera, et cetera. And of course, nobody ever answered. They were able to see Lindsay's shoes through the door, though. So they knew that she was somewhere in the house. She wouldn't have left without her shoes. So they knew she should still be in there. If that seems strange to people, because I know in certain other countries, people don't take off their shoes. But in Canada, we almost always take off our shoes before going into somebody's house. Plus, she's showing a house. It's got to maintain cleanliness, right? Nobody's going to want to buy a filthy house. So she would take her shoes off for that too. At 6:05, Jason dialed 911. Now, he told dispatch that his girlfriend was meeting a couple from out of town, and she was showing them a home. He said Lindsay was, quote, kind of scared, end quote. So he, quote, kind of followed her, end quote. Very interesting. Once again, I don't know why he's saying this to people. He's making it seem like he's just following her around to dispatch and to police, but yet to everybody else, he's pretending that he's the or I shouldn't say pretending. He's showing that he's the concerned boyfriend who's just trying to help. It's very strange that he's saying these things. But then again, he may have been panicking too. He told dispatch that they had seen a man in the house through the glass, but that the door was locked and nobody was answering it. So he was concerned. It was almost like he was doing a wellness check. He said he could see Lindsay's shoes and that she'd taken them off by the front door to show the home. So while Jason was on the phone, and this is where it's going to get confusing again, guys, because there are more than one reports on this. So I'm going to give you both scenarios. Jason's on the phone with dispatch. In one scenario, it was reported that Cohen decided to go around back and look over the fence to see if there was another way to get in. According to this, Cohen saw a hole in the backyard fence where 3 boards had been removed. So he went through to the backyard and saw that the back patio door was actually wide open. And of course, at this point in time, he went back to Jason to tell him this. Other reports say that Jason actually boosted Cohen over the fence, and that Cohen saw the patio door being wide open at that point. However, there are other reports about the gap, guys, so I'm leaning towards believing that Cohen just went through that way. They saw the back patio door. So Jason is still on the phone with dispatch at this point in time, and he told them that they were going to go in to the house. So Cohen went around back and unlocked the front door for Jason to get in. They're going to go into the house. He then hung up the phone. The 2 men began to search the house. So Cohen was going to take the first level, and Jason immediately runs upstairs. He said, quote, he raced full speed, end quote, upstairs. It almost seems like he knew immediately where she was. But he raced upstairs. And inside the master bedroom, guys, which was right actually at the top of the stairs, he saw Lindsay, and she was lying in a pool of her own blood. Jason told Cohen to recontact 911 and tell them that they needed help immediately. At this point in time, Jason is attempting CPR. Cohen told dispatch that he saw bloody footprints in the home and that Lindsay was lying in a pool of her own blood. Police arrived and they saw both men in the master bedroom. They were, quote, waving their arms around, end quote. And the men were then taken to the station, of course, for questioning separately and trying to confirm their stories. But immediately, you're going to wonder, right? Lindsay was pronounced dead at the scene, guys. This was a very, very fast crime. Okay, she's there at 5:30. They know she's there at 5:30. It's 6:05 when the men are calling. So what, 35, 40 minutes? Very fast. So police actually cleared the house. They went to all the other rooms, found nobody was there. Nobody was around. They actually brought in search dogs as well. I'm not quite sure how they'd have $1 million scent, but I guess they'd have Lindsay's scent, so maybe to check and see what other scents the dogs could follow. Regardless, they didn't find anything. Police were able to gather some evidence, not very much. It looks like most of the evidence were fibers and hairs that they found. And Lindsay's, they did try to look for prints and DNA, guys. Now, I don't know. We'll get into it. I'm putting the cart before the horse. So Lindsay's wallet, phone, purse, they were all found there. They were all untouched. Robbery was obviously not a motive for this. It seems like the attack was definitely the motive. Just give me 1 second, guys, and I'll bring up some pictures, hopefully, of Lindsay. So this is actually a picture of Lindsay and Jason. That's them both together. And this was a Remax party. It looks like a Christmas party, so it was probably shortly before the murder. Lindsay was stabbed approximately 40 plus times. I've tried to see the exact number count, but I haven't been able to find it. Every article I read just said over 40. She was stabbed over 40 times in the face, the throat, and the chest. She died, obviously, from the blood loss due to those stab wounds, and she died very fast. The coroner placed her time of death at 5:40. This would be 5 minutes before before Cohen and Jason showed up to watch the house, and approximately 10 minutes from after she entered it. Anyway, This was due to the activity on her phone, that 541 call. They must have felt the same thing as probably the rest of us feel, that in the midst of what was going on, her phone accidentally pocket dialed this person. Police believe she died within a 3-minute window, guys. That she died, and that's a direct quote, she died within a, quote, 3-minute window from 5:38 until 5:41. Those are the 3 minutes that they assume Lindsay died in. So this was a very fast attack, guys. Very fast. There were no signs of sexual assault. None of her clothes were removed. Nothing like that, guys. So no sexual assault was taken. So sexual assault's not a motive. Neither is robbery. What's going on here? Lindsay also had absolutely no defensive wounds on her, which leads police to believe that whoever attacked her came up behind her and stabbed her like around this way to begin with. So she didn't even know that an attack was imminent. She had no idea. She was only 24 years old, guys. She didn't even get to be 25. She was 24 years old. So police, very few leads to go on, guys. At this point in time, there was a, quote, complete lack, end quote, of DNA or any other physical evidence, like fingerprints, anything like that. I find it really weird, though, because they had those bloody footprints and no one else ever mentioned them again. I don't know if the footprints were actually Lindsay's, though, or if they took measurements or anything, or tried to match anything up. Regardless. So this led police to believe that the murderer was very well organized and had probably done this before. They believed that the killer or killers were likely about to leave through the front door. So this would have been at, before about 6 o'clock, guys. It looks like they were about to leave through the front door when they saw Jason and Cohen come up to the front door. So they immediately went out the back. And that's why the back door was left open, is because they just ran out that way. I don't know why Jason and Cohen didn't see shadows move or anything like that. It also appears that, to me, but it appears that whoever did this may have been the person to remove those 3 boards and leave that gap. That's just what it appears like to me. Like, how would they have known that there was a way to get over? Or how would they have known that there was a way to get through the fence? It's just very interesting to me. Police believed that the killers then left in a vehicle that was more than likely parked on Torquay Drive. That's why they walked up, is because they parked the street over the street behind. This is also because police actually canvassed, right, the houses. There's only 4 on D'Souza, and every occupant and every vehicle that was there was accounted for. Every vehicle that was on D'Souza Place Drive or D'Souza Drive or D'Souza Place, they all were there for a reason. Police then decided they were going to turn to the cell phone. Okay, this makes sense because the cell phone had $1 million phone number, right? The phone number that was attached to it. And also, I would assume the email, right? Because she was known to have emailed them. She had to have sent it to some address. The cell phone was registered to an actual address in Vancouver proper, not on the island, guys. This is in the city of Vancouver. So it was registered to a real address there. And this address is actually attached to a real business. However, police do not believe that this address has anything to do with the murder. They just think that $1 million picked this address at random, right? Even if it's a prepaid cell phone, even if you're not going on contract, guys, you still have to give some information. So they probably just picked it out of a hat. Police do know that the phone was bought at a variety store in Vancouver. And Vancouver is actually about 3 hours and it looks like 15 minutes, give or take, from Victoria. Vancouver, the city, not Vancouver Island. Vancouver, the city, is about 3 hours away. 3 hours, 15 minutes. They know that the phone was bought in November of 2007, so November, but it wasn't activated until late January of 2008. So basically when $1 million called Lindsay, that's when the phone was activated. And it was only used to contact Lindsay. There was no other phone numbers that phone ever contacted. This led police to believe that Lindsay was a target for something. Lindsay was the definite target for this murder. It seems like a targeted murder. So the first few calls made to Lindsay, remember there were about 10 in general, or about 10. The first few calls that were made from that phone to Lindsay were made from Vancouver, the city. They know that. They were able to trace that. And the phone then on February 1st showed a different location. And this location was for, it was actually a ferry ride, guys. It showed, I still don't know how I'm not good with technology. I'm sorry, guys, you know this. But instead of just dinging in Vancouver or pinging in Vancouver, it was showing like they were going to Victoria, I'm guessing. And this was by way of the British Columbia ferries. Okay, so they knew that the phone was moving on February 1st. Of course, once again, this would negate $1 million claim that she and her husband were flying in. But it was definitely a man and a woman, guys. It wasn't people dressed up. It was definitely a man and a woman. The phone was registered to somebody named Paulo Rodriguez. Obviously, it was a fake name. Everybody knows that this guy doesn't exist. The phone number... Police believe that the phone was bought with the express purpose, like we just said, of luring Lindsay in, of luring her to a murder site, guys. That's what people believe. And this is, of course, another indication that the murder was planned. So it's definitely somebody wanted Lindsay Buziak dead. After this, phone's a dead lead. He can't get anything more from it. The address is a real address, but not associated with the crime. There is no Paulo Rodriguez, and there's no other phone numbers that they can even look to. So police decided they were going to turn their attention to Lindsay's personal computer and check out her social media and her searches and things like that. They thought the social media could be particularly helpful, and they felt that it would be Facebook that it would be the most helpful thing. Lindsay posted almost daily on Facebook, guys, on her like Facebook wall, or talking to people on it. There's a reason why we're mentioning this, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But they decided it would be a good idea to check her social media. I still don't know. I'm guessing the email address must not have given anything. It was probably just a generated address and just had the email from Lindsay. But whatever, they could have checked for an IP. Never mind, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So like I said, it's early 2008, guys. You're using Facebook. I don't know, was MySpace still a thing? So there's not the social media we have now. Police did notice when they were looking at the social media, though, that there was, quote, something off, end quote, about Lindsay's online activity for about a week before the murder, guys. So starting on January 24th, Lindsay, who, like I said, posted daily on Facebook, unless something was like really wrong or she wasn't in the area or whatever, stopped posting completely. She stopped posting anything, and she stopped answering comments on her wall. This was approximately a week before, and she had absolutely no activity. And I do want you guys to know that Lindsay had, approximately 700 friends on Facebook. She was a very social person, and she remained in contact with people. So it was very odd that she stopped doing this. Police could also tell that some of the, I'm guessing, Facebook chat messages were removed. Not all of them, just some of them. However, as of right now, as of so far, unless maybe they have in the past a little bit, but as of so far, they were unable to recover the missing parts of the chat, and they were also unable to recover what dates these chats were removed from, like exactly when they were deleted. Okay. So later on in 2008, Nikki received a phone call. Nikki, the friend that we spoke about before that witnessed the argument and was also a very good friend for like years. Nikki said that she was woken up in the middle of the night. I'm not quite sure what time it is, maybe 3 or 4, by a phone call from an unknown number, not like the actual term unknown number, but a number she didn't recognize. She was half asleep, so she doesn't really remember a lot of the conversation. All she does remember is that the person on the other end was female and spoke with a, quote, strange accent, end quote, one that she could not place. It was at this point in time that she woke up, and I would assume the caller had already hung up. So she must have thought to herself, wait a second, strange accent, someone I don't know calling me. It was at this point in time where she fully woke up and remembered that Lindsay had the phone call from the person with a strange accent. And at this point in time, she got scared. But it also registered to Nikki that the accent was more than likely fake. Why would this person be calling Nikki? Very interesting. So Nikki then decided to do the ballsy move. And this is a move some of us do and some of us don't. But she decided she was going to call back the number. Talk to the person. She was going to engage this person. She was fully awake now. So she was going to do this. She called the number back approximately 20 to 30 times, guys, before she was finally able to get somebody to answer. Somebody without an accent. And who was the person that answered the phone, guys? None other than Sandra Zalio. Very interesting, right? Why did Sandra call up using a fake accent? Nikki then asked Shirley why Shirley was calling her number. They didn't know each other. So Nikki only knew Jason through Lindsay. She didn't know Sandra, probably by name she'd know her, but it's not like they were introduced. They wouldn't have had a reason to be introduced to each other. At that point in time, I'm sure if they got married, they would be. But anyway, they didn't know each other. So she asked her how Sandra got her phone number. Sandra told her she was trying to call her secretary, whose name was also Nikki, and that she didn't know how she got that Nikki, friend Nikki's phone number. She assumed that Jason probably added it into her contacts. But why would Jason do that? Sandra is not somebody that Nikki knows. Why? And I'm thinking, was Nikki an emergency contact? If so, only Jason should have had that. It doesn't make sense why Jason would also give his mother Nikki's phone number, unless Sandra was keeping tabs on people her son knew, or unless Jason wanted to keep tabs on Lindsay and was like, well, if she ever disappears, here's her friend's phone number, Mom. You call around because it'll sound better than me. Do you see what I mean? Regardless. Sandra claims that this conversation never happened. She denies it totally. And it is very unclear to me if police ever checked this out. All we have right now is Nikki's word on it. It seems like this really happened, but regardless, she has no reason to lie. Regardless, Sandra says it never happened. And this is not the first time Sandra says things don't happen. So at this point, I want you guys to know that police claim that they investigated the entire Zalio family. So Jason, Ryan, Sandra, and they've all been cleared. They are all cleared, guys. So approximately a year, after the police started investigating it, it was still very much a full-time investigation, guys. They had at least 5 people still on it, but it was becoming a cold case. They didn't have a lot of evidence. They didn't have a lot of anything. And what they did have was always repeatedly leading them to, sorry guys, to dead ends. Oh, I also want you guys to know that D'Souza Place is in the neighborhood of, Gordon Head. I'm not totally sure, but that's the area that it's in. And it's Sannich police that are actually investigating this, because D'Souza Place was in the suburb of the Victoria suburb of Sannich. So it's Sannich police. Sannich police have done over 1,000 interviews with people. They've investigated as many tips as they possibly can. They've actually served over 30 search warrants, and nothing has come up of it. But they have served search warrants in this case, and I'm going to assume they were on Zaleo property too. They've served search warrants, but nothing so far came out of it. At this point in time, police in police in Victoria proper, as well as the RCMP, decided to step in and help out to see if they could solve this case. It's very bizarre. And it was at this point in time that they re-interviewed the 2 witnesses and were able to come up with a sketch of the woman, not the man. It doesn't look like they saw enough of the man. Maybe he was standing on the other side and they couldn't see him as well. They were also able to provide a picture of the outfit the woman was wearing that day to see if this would jog anybody's memory. So this is how the woman was described. She is white, around 35 to 45 years old, with short blonde hair, and she was very well dressed. She was apparently wearing, it was either a dress or a skirt that was black, but had a very distinctive, like, thick white and red swirls in it. I have a couple pictures to show guys. I'm going to see if I can find that one too. And the mystery man, who, like I said, was on the other side, was described as a male, about 6 feet tall. He had dark hair and a light colored jacket on. But as of yet, nobody has come forward with this. Like, these are distinctive looking people. It's very interesting, but as of late, nothing has come from this tip that we know of. I'm just going to try to see if I can pull up the sketch. So in August of 2017, sorry guys, Jeff Buziak had his own Facebook investigation. A lot of families do this, where you can leave messages or tips or stuff like that. Jeff Buziak had his own website set up to solve his daughter's murder. And he received a public message on it that said, quote, "I killed Lindsay and stupid cops will never prove it," end quote. It was filled with a lot of grammatical and spelling mistakes, including Lindsay's name. Lindsay's name is Lindsay. This person spelled it Lindsey. Police, though, do not believe that this was indicative of the actual killer, guys. They believe this was a hoax, a really horrible and cruel hoax. I don't know why people do that, what makes people want to taunt families like that, but that's what they think. So this right here, guys, would be the D'Souza place, the $1 million place that Lindsay was showing. This is the sketch of the woman that they saw. I don't know if that's really helpful to anybody, but that's a sketch of the woman. And I believe, yep, there you go. There's Lindsay's February 1st information that she left in her day planner on the couple. That's all she had too. And I'm just trying to see, guys, if... No, I don't have a picture of the dress. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So in 2020, the FBI actually stepped in to help with this case. It's It's kind of unusual, but not as unusual as what people would think. So usually if a case involves an American victim or suspect, or if a case involves a Canadian victim or suspect, but it's not in their own country, those police forces will step in. So the RCMP will help investigate a murder of a Canadian citizen. Not all the time, and the FBI can do it too. But the FBI and the RCMP often share information. They've worked together since about 1919, guys, sharing information. So this is not new stuff. They've done it for over 100 years. There were a lot of people that said, well, why would the FBI step into a Canadian case? They're just sharing information. And Vancouver, like, you know, you guys know Vancouver and Victoria, they're close to Seattle, right? They're close to Washington State. So it does make sense just in case mystery couple fled over the border, right? The two law detachments are not at odds with each other. It's very good that they share information about crimes that have occurred and about specific perpetrators or details like that, because then the American police can be on alert, and so can the Canadian police, just in case, because we know people cross the border, guys. We know they do it. So the FBI stepped in. Also, the FBI would probably have, would probably be able to get better technology, so to speak. They would have like newer stuff at their disposal, whereas maybe the Sannich police wouldn't, or the Victoria police. Investigators are now using new technology developed since 2008. Basically genetic genealogy, guys, right? Like they want to see if there is anything that they can use in that respect. I know we said there was no DNA, but I'm wondering if there wasn't like a partial DNA or something that in 2008 was too small to test, but maybe they can now. Anyway, they're retesting the evidence they do have, the fibers and the hairs, etc. They're also going through her social media again to see if new technology can help generate those missing chats, and or at least show when they were made. They're going through everything and retesting everything all over again. But now in February of 2021, so just last year, police said they had new leads, but they haven't discussed them. Sorry, guys, it's an open case, so whatever new leads they have, we have no idea what they are, but they did say they have new leads and new information. So in 2020, there's a newspaper named the Capital Daily. In fact, all of those pictures that we were just looking at come from the Capital Daily. It requested a public release of the public information for Lindsay Buziak's case. It requested that the courts release that, and they actually won that. So because of this, we're able to find out more things. And this is what Capital Daily was able to find out. And this is public record, guys. So definitely, I mean, it's out there. We know it's true. A lot of names were redacted, and so was specific information. But it does appear that the cops know more than what they're leading people to believe. Active case, guys, we know they do this all the time. So Capital Daily found that police were aware that the killer or killers used actually two different phones. Okay, they used the Vancouver phone to make the phone calls, but they also used another phone, which I'm assuming is also a burner phone. I can't be certain, guys, to call the Vancouver phone to check voicemails. Probably looking for voicemails that Lindsay has left them. Police know way more about the phones than what they're letting on, is what we know, but it isn't revealed because it's been redacted. So police took note. This was actually during the time that the police took note of the strange internet activity. That was not released to the public until these public records, guys. I know I added it in, but it helps with the story. It was previously unknown to people. And of course that she hadn't been in contact with anybody through social media since January 24th. This led police to initially believe, quote, violent criminals, end quote, on Lindsay's Facebook list, quote, may have played a role, end quote, in her murder. Now, this has since been cleared, let's just say. Still part of our theories, but this is what police initially believed. Because yes, she had Erickson Delicazar, but she also had a couple other people that were known criminals. They're still her friends. Doesn't mean they're necessarily going to hurt her or anything. And like I said, she had a huge friend base. They're people she knew. Maybe they're people she gone to school with. You know what I mean? And then they fell into a different crowd. She was generous and she cared about people. So it does make sense she'd stay friends with people that could have possibly needed her help. But she did have several known criminals on her list. Violent criminals, I should say. So the unreleased documents also show that Lindsay called a number of her previous clients, like I said, to see if they were $1 million or to see if they knew $1 million. That's how we know for sure she did it. The voicemail sent to the old friend at 5:41 on February 2nd was far too muffled for anybody to hear what was actually going on. That's how we know that she made this call. That also wasn't released until 2020. However, police hope that the new technology they have can help either clear it up or maybe isolate some part of it to help out. This is, of course, Vancouver Island's most, apparently most infamous unsolved case. There was no indication, like I've said before, that Lindsay ever thought this was fake. She never wrote anything down. She didn't think the sale was fake, and she was just very apprehensive about it, but she also didn't think the accent was fake. She just couldn't place it. So Erickson Delicazar, right? We've spoken about him. He was ex-boyfriend Matt's friend that she called when she was in Calgary, and that was also part of the drug bust in 2008, early 2008. He was, of course, investigated as being possibly involved, and also because the two of them had just spoken the month before, or she had tried to call him the month before. Police wanted to know why. Okay, so this is where it's going to get confusing again, because there was another drug bust in BC. Pretty sure it was BC, guys, during this time, okay? And it was actually related to the Alberta drug bust. So the large Alberta drug bust in early 2008 or mid 2008, and the drug, I think it was actually January 22nd. I should say late 2008. I think it was actually January 22nd, guys. And there was another drug bust around that time in BC. And these two drug busts were related. They involved a circle of criminals, and other people too, but a circle of criminals that were trafficking drugs between Alberta and BC. So they're two separate rings, but they were working together too to get drugs into Alberta, or remove drugs from Alberta. You know what I mean, to cross the provincial borders like that. Sorry, guys. It's going to get confusing. So police thought people from on Lindsay's Facebook, right, like Erickson Delicazar, may have planned Lindsay's murder because they thought she was an informant. It's coincidental she called him in 2007, and all of a sudden, or a month before, and all of a sudden he's arrested in 2008. So police believed that it was possible people on her Facebook list thought she was an informant. I don't know how people would know that she'd called Erickson unless she said something, but anyway, that's what police thought. One of the phones, okay, so police tapped, this is going to get confusing again. Police tapped one of the phones of a person involved or thought to be involved because of the, quote, high level of involvement in the trafficking and sale of drugs in BC and Alberta, end quote. So they tapped an individual's phone that they thought was involved with the two rings. During the phone taps, police were able to uncover conversation that led to the raids, but they were also able to uncover something that led them to tap both Jason's phone and Lindsay's phone at this point in time too, to see if they knew any information about this. So yes, Lindsay's phone was tapped, and so was Jason's. I'm going to guess that whatever information they had led them to Jason, because remember, Lindsay saw him dealing steroids, allegedly. So I'm going to assume they heard his name and they tapped his phone to see what information he could give to them. And they tapped Lindsay's phone because she was a girlfriend that lived with them. During these, so they were tapped because of Ziggy, guys. They were tapped. Ziggy was involved with things. So they were tapped because of Jason's involvement with Ziggy, it looks like. And also another guy named Chris. Sorry, guys, I didn't write down his last name because I didn't think he was going to be important, but he was also a drug dealer. Police eventually dismissed this theory, this informant theory, because Lindsay was not a drug user, was never known to use drugs, sell drugs, anything like that. She was not involved in drugs, and she had literally never worked as an informant. She was never on any witness lists for the Erickson Delicazar stuff or any of the other stuff to be a witness for the Crown, anything like that. She's not an informant, but police wondered if other people didn't think she was. Police now believe it was not an informant murder at all, of course, and it was far too personal. If you're an informant and a large drug cartel wants to get rid of you, more than likely, they know people who can get it done. They hire hitmen. Hitmen, yes, this was an organized crime scene, but they still did leave bloody footprints. And the attack left a lot of blood. A hitman usually doesn't. They can, but they usually use guns, and it's not as messy. Regardless, they don't stab a person over 40 times, usually in the face, neck, and throat, or in the face, throat, and chest, unless they have something against them. Particularly trying to dehumanize somebody, trying to get rid of their facial features. I'm just saying. The stabbing didn't fit a hired hitman scenario to the police either. It was not clean like a hit would be. And the murder was not a hot contract hit from a drug cartel because it was, quote, too brutal, messy, and amateurish in nature, end quote. Which I find funny because it's hardly organized, but it's amateurish. This is actually according to a CSI named Yolanda McClary and a homicide detective named Dwayne Stanton. Both of these individuals believe the murder was extremely personal and planned by somebody very close to Lindsay, who actually had access to her office at Remax to get certain information. So apparently there are documents that also show that the caller, the one using the Vancouver crime phone, may have accessed MapQuest at some point in time in order to, quote, familiarize themselves with the area, end quote, of D'Souza Place, and in, quote, planning escape routes, end quote. This would lead me to believe that they were the ones that tampered with the back fence. I don't think those 3 boards just happening to be missing from a place that turns out to be a crime scene, I don't think it was a coincidence. I think it was intentional. Of course, they would have exited out Torquay Drive, and that's where the fence was. So Lindsay's Facebook list, once again, we've reiterated this several times, included many people who were, quote, violent criminals and involved in the, quote, illegal distribution of drugs, end quote. However, all of the names involved were redacted. So though it's public record, we still don't know. According to a receptionist, her name has also been redacted, Lindsay actually came into the office at about 3:30. Now, if you guys remember, it was about 3 and 4 that she had her late lunch with Jason. So it does make sense that at 3:30 she could be there. Anyway, she came into, sorry guys, she left for her late lunch at about 3:30. So if the receptionist says between 3 and 4, it was probably closer to 3, but it would be within the timeline. She said Lindsay was feeling, quote, really weird end quote, and quote, really freaked out, end quote, about the home showing. So she actually did tell the receptionist and another co-worker that she was feeling this way. She then gave the phone number $1 Million had provided for her and asked the receptionist and this other coworker if they could see if this phone number was in any other real estate agencies contacts, any other real estate agency in Victoria, to see if this couple had contacted any other real estate agency to look for a home or if it had specifically been her. They were unable to find this phone number attached to any other real estate agency or agent other than Lindsay Buziak. Jason also had another reason. This was uncovered. This is why I talked about it. He probably had another reason to also be at the house at this point in time. So I'm not sure why he's telling police that. He's making it seem like Lindsay didn't know he was there, even though she did. But he's also got this paperwork. And this was paperwork from the SHC deal. It looks like something needed her signature, so maybe they accepted the offer or whatever, and he was driving over there to see if he could get her signature and then take the papers back. Once again, it's just very weird that he would lie about things like this, or that he would say things the way he did, but regardless. Once again, he told police he wanted to make sure she was okay, and he reiterated to police that Lindsay said that he could follow her there, even though he said he kind of just showed up or whatever, but that she had insisted on doing the showing herself. He made that quite clear. She insisted on doing the showing herself. He told police Lindsay, quote, had a strong personality and liked to do things herself, end quote. So the crime phone, like we've already said, was a prepaid cell phone. Police know exactly where it was bought. And they also know more than likely where the buyer is from, most likely where the buyer is from, which leads me to believe that they have a name, or they have this area. They should be able to canvass it, but it leads me to believe they know more, but it isn't written down, or if it is, it's redacted. They also know the name of at least one person, quote, in possession of fictitiously registered prepaid phones allegedly used to facilitate illegal activities in a covert manner, end quote. So they know of someone who is in the business of selling these type of phones to people who are not so kosher, but they don't say anything about that either. That's also been redacted. And that's it, guys. That's all there is about this case. There is nothing further. However, we do have the theories, guys. Yeah, I know it took forever for us to get here. There's a lot of information, but a lot of not information. So here we go, guys. I'm just going to check my time right now. We're going to try to get through it real quick. These are the 5 main theories, 5 to 6 main theories. Number 1, Lindsay was killed by people who believed she was an informant after seeing something she shouldn't have seen, or for a more personal reason. Remember, she did tell her father, I'm not sure if I actually said it, but she told her father when she visited him in Calgary in 2007 for those 4 days, she told him that she had, quote, seen something I shouldn't have seen, end quote, but she would not elaborate on it. So it does appear that she actually did say that. Sorry, guys, I didn't mention that. She did know, of course, Erickson Elikazar through her ex. No one still knows why she called him. No one knows what they talked about. If they did talk to each other, no one knows anything about that. But she did know, she did definitely call him shortly after he's busted. You know, so that would make him think, hey, Lindsay called me. Why did she call me? Maybe she's the reason we were busted. We also know that Jason and Lindsay's phones had been tapped to see, because Jason's name came up with Ziggy. We know that they were tapped. Could someone have killed her from this drug ring because she knew too much? or because they assumed she knew too much. It seems like these were people that assumed she knew something, even though apparently she does, but it seems like she knows more about Jason. It doesn't seem to be any, regardless. Did she see something? Did she really see something? And it did have her afraid. Did they think she was a rat and she was worried they would testify, or she would testify against them somehow, even though it doesn't appear like at all that she was ever going to do this? But it could have been someone believing she was an informant, even though she wasn't, so they took her out that way. It was messy, but it was organized enough not to leave evidence. It looks like these are people that have done this before. Maybe they don't have access to certain things a huge drug cartel would, but they have access to their own ways of doing it. And it was organized enough not to leave things laying around. Could it have been a lower level crime ring? Could it have been a friend of somebody that was in this crime ring thinking they were doing something that would help people, that would help criminals, I guess. Number 2, Lindsay was killed not because she was involved in crime herself, but because she had a lot of friends from a large range of social groups. So could she have been targeted in order to send a message to one of the people through the drug rings? More specific with Erickson Delicazar, they did have contact. They were kind of loose friends from my gathering of it. Did somebody kill her to send a message to Erickson, or did somebody kill her to send a message to other people? Did somebody kill her because she was a friend of that person? You know, a lot of hitmen, well, I'm going to get you where it would hurt you the most, through your family or friends. Was she murdered because of that? Not because she was directly involved, but because she knew someone that was involved in criminal activity. What about Ziggy? He was one of Jason's friends. Did he do it? To stop her? Well, you know what? We're going to get into that in a couple minutes. Was it revenge against Jason? Did somebody do this for revenge against Jason, or revenge against Ziggy, knowing that Jason and Ziggy are friends? Did somebody kill Lindsay to send a message to the two of them? Did somebody kill her? Did somebody who was an associate of Ziggy's kill her thinking that he could impress Ziggy that way, and maybe he had no knowledge of it? Did somebody kill her due to one of her friends? Number 3, Jason. Okay, so theory number 1 and 2 have been basically dismissed by the police, guys. So has technically theory number 3, but there's too many questions for me about this. Jason. She wanted to break up with him. We have a couple people. One is her own dad, and one who saw her break up with Jason, even if it was only for a short minute. Did he kill her because she wanted to break up with him? Did he kill her because she knew too much? If they did break up, she knew that he was friends with Ziggy and this Chris guy. She also knew that he was dealing in steroids. Did he kill her so that she couldn't talk about that? If they did break up, did he kill her out of jealousy? Did he kill her over obsession? It does seem like he was possessive and controlling of her. He followed her around, guys. Even before he made such a big deal of telling people over and over again that he had reiterated 4 or 5, 6 times, oh, I'll show the house for you. No, you don't want me to do that? Okay, I'll come and watch over the house and make sure nothing happens. Several times, and yet he still told police he didn't want to seem like he was controlling. He didn't want to seem like he was following her around. Even though he said at one point in time he was kind of following her around. Do you see what I mean? It's like he's trying so desperately hard to prove he's not possessive and controlling, even though in one interview he acknowledged that she thought that way about him. He's trying so hard to push that off. Is it because he was jealous and often did follow her around? Was it a if I can't have you, no one can scenario? Or, like I said, did somebody kill her to get back at Jason and maybe he didn't know? Was it Jason, or was Jason maybe jealous of her success? I don't know. Did Jason kill her, or have someone kill her. I mean, it's really convenient that he was going to be late. It's really convenient he showed up 5 minutes after she had this done. It's just really convenient. It's very strange that he went over to Torquay Drive too. Because to me, if it was my partner or whatever, and I promised I would watch the house, I wouldn't go around back to watch the house. I'd go in front to watch the house and stay there. Why did he go around back? I didn't even think about that until right now. But remember, police believe the getaway car was parked on Torquay Drive. Although, you know, two different cars. And also Cohen was there. So it's not like Cohen knew. But did he set up a hitman and he wanted to watch it? That's all I'm wondering. Number 4, Ziggy. You knew we'd get to him, guys. No, I do want to point this out about Jason, guys. I didn't say it before. He was interviewed by police several times, and his story was always consistent. He was always very cooperative with police. Well, I think there were little details that changed, but it's regardless. He's always been very cooperative about police, and he also apparently passed a polygraph test. Not that that really matters. Do you ever notice when people are talking about it on YouTube or in other things that we're all like, but he passed a polygraph, so it's okay. And if somebody fails a polygraph, but we know that they're not guilty, we're like, well, he failed a polygraph, but that can happen to anybody. Polygraphs are just crap, guys. You know, there are easy ways to pass it, and people that commit murders or crimes can pass a polygraph, but they can also fail it. There's a reason it's not used in court. However, he did pass a polygraph. He has been cleared, so has everybody in his family. I don't know if police have looked at Ziggy. I do also want to point out, I did mention it before, that at 5:30, he's definitely, SHC has the video camera there. And of course, for security reasons, and it did record the two of them leaving together at 5:30. So we already know Lindsay's at the house. I'm just saying they've cleared him. Just how smart is Jason anyway? I know, just how smart is this guy anyway? Number 4, Ziggy. So did Ziggy do it? She knows things about Ziggy. I mean, he's already he's beaten a murder rap, let's just say. Had it stayed, he beat the crap out of his at least one ex-girlfriend. It doesn't look like he really cares about women. He's also been friends with Jason for years and years and years. And his mother, Sandra, is her landlord. You know, they're friends too. She's also friends with his mom. Did he kill her because he didn't like how close she was getting to Jason? Did he kill her? Did Ziggy kill her or have her killed because he didn't like their relationship, that it was making him jealous, specifically since she wanted him to stop hanging out with Jason, except for at hockey? Was he mad about that? Was he jealous of their relationship in general? Maybe he couldn't get a girlfriend. I don't know. Did he feel like Lindsay was taking Jason away from him? Was he concerned that if they did break up, she would start talking about whatever business arrangements the two of them have and get him into further trouble? Was he concerned she would become an informant? I mean, it looks like he has people that can do things for him. So it appears like if he needs, allegedly he had someone take a murder rap for him before. So is there something in there? Is there something in there? I don't know if police have interviewed him about this, but he would know people for sure. Was it a combination of both Ziggy and Jason? Did Jason and Ziggy both set this up through people they knew? Did Ziggy do this to get rid of Lindsay for Jason without Jason knowing, or for Jason knowing, vice versa? It's just very strange. Number 5 could technically be an unknown person. This seems highly unlikely, guys. It was somebody police say that knew her very well. The crime was far too personal for it to not be someone who knew her. What about one of her coworkers though? The coworker that allegedly went with Sandra on the first, or maybe one of the ones she told the phone number to? Did one of them kill her because they were jealous of her success? Did Jason do it because he was jealous of her success? She was up and coming. I'm just saying. Probably not. A stranger would be ruled out, but could it have been a coworker? Number 6. You guys probably knew I was getting here. Sandra. I know she's been cleared, but there's just something about her that doesn't make sense to me, guys. She is far too involved in her son's lives. Far too involved. Not only is she his good friend Ziggy's landlord, which I will add, when police interviewed her, she denied ever knowing Ziggy Matheson, even though that was her friend's son and she was his landlord. So it's not like she doesn't lie. I'm just saying. So I have several main concerns about her, but she, number one, won't tell people what she was doing there February 1st. If you're just there for a visit, that's all you have to say. Why won't she tell people why she was there or what she was doing? It seems like maybe they didn't know she was there, but she confirmed that she was there. And that she overheard this conversation. So she would have known that D'Souza Place was one of the places Lindsay was going to show, or the place that Lindsay was going to show, if she overheard the conversation and she knew it was with $1 Million. I also find it interesting that Mr. D'Souza is her friend and a business associate, and it was like she knew he was there, right, that day, but conveniently he was gone by the time the murder took place. I don't think Mr. D'Souza has anything to do with it, but he'd know people too. She's a wealthy, prominent lady. She knows people. Was she able to buy off the police in some way? Was Jason? We know it happens. Was she able to do that? I just find it interesting. I find it interesting. At this point in time, Sandra is also highly involved in Lindsay's life. Landlord, or she bought them the house. Her boss, her lover-in-law. I don't know how to, lover's mother-in-law. You know what I mean? Like her significant other's parent. She's very involved in her life. She also, the Nikki. Why would she ever have Nikki's phone number in there unless she's keeping tabs on her son or keeping tabs on Lindsay for her son? It seems like it was a little of both. If he's as controlling and possessive, heck yeah, he could have his mother do these things. Was she jealous of the fact that maybe she didn't think Lindsay was good enough? Was she jealous of the fact that they had a good relationship? Was she, well, allegedly good relationship? Was she not thinking that the relationship was good? Did she catch wind of the fact that Lindsay wanted to break up with Jason and maybe she had her killed? Well, she may have had her killed because she was trying to save her son's ego and his love life. But I think she was also, she knows Ziggy. I think she was also aware of things her son was doing and she didn't want him to end up in jail either. Because that would be quite a stain on a prominent family member's name, being involved in a murder or, you know, being involved in the drug trade. That would very much tarnish the prominence and the wealth of the Zaleo family. Was she jealous of Lindsay's success? She was up and coming. She'd only been there for like a year and a half, guys. A little bit more than a year. She'd only been a junior salesperson, and yet she did sell a $900,000 property. Was Sandra jealous of it? Did she in some way think that this was going to affect her life? I just want to remind you guys that the police said this was done by someone who is quite close to her, who would have had access to her office. Okay, yes, Jason probably had access, but we know for sure Sandra did. Sandra, definitely being her boss at Remax, would have access to her office. She would have access to all that information. She's a person who knows how to do things. She would probably be able to hire someone fairly quickly to get rid of a problem for her. Maybe she thought Lindsay was a problem. Maybe there was other things going on at Remax. I can't say it right. I don't know why today, guys, that we don't know about. Maybe Sandra was embezzling or something. Who knows? And maybe Lindsay found out. I don't know. She saw something that she shouldn't have. We're always assuming it has to do with Ziggy or drug dealing. Maybe she saw Sandra do something that she shouldn't have. I also want to point out that Nikki call, because Nikki even though Sandra denies it. Deny. Nikki called, she called the number that showed up 20 to 30 times, and all of a sudden it was Sandra Zaleo on the line. But before that, the person that originally called, that we know is attached to the line, was using a fake accent. And it was a woman. I just want to keep pointing it out. It was a woman. Sandra just seems very suspicious to me, guys. I don't know why. Even when I first read about the case, that was one of the first things I wrote down. Mother involved. Could she have done it without Jason knowing, though? Maybe she set it up without her son knowing. Maybe they worked together. I don't know. Maybe it's somebody else different entirely. What do you guys think? We're finally at the end. I think we got through it. What do you guys think? Let me know. Who do you think killed Lindsay Buziak? Why do you think she was killed? Do you think that the Zaleos were involved? Do you have another theory? Do you guys know any other information about this case or anything involved with it? If you guys do know anything about the case or have any information at all, please call Sannich Police Information Line at 250-475-4356 or toll free at 1-888-980-1919. I'm going to leave these in the comments section too, guys, just in case. Or, of course, you can go to Crime Stoppers. You know, you can call Crime Stoppers. It's completely anonymous. That's 1-800-222-TIPS. Or you can go to Crime Stoppers. They do have a website where you can leave an anonymous tip too. I think it's just crimestoppers.ca. If you guys have any information, please let us know. Let the police know. I do also want to tell you that every February, Jeff Buziak actually holds a walk for his daughter, like a vigil, in order to keep her name in the public's memory. So hopefully, guys, this case will be solved soon. Hopefully, the retesting of the evidence can give us some answers. But let me know what you think down below. I will be back for you guys next week. We're going international. There's a tiny Canadian link, but we're going international. I hope you guys do have a good week, and I will see you later. Bye for now, guys.